Hello and welcome back to the EUROVOXX podcast, the place where we will be discussing all things Eurovision. Coming up today, it is the season of predicting, as we will be going through myself and my guests' overall top 10 qualifiers from semi-final 1. But first, let me introduce my guests. They have previously been on the show before. They are non-Vox members, so they're very special guests. They have, over the last year, become pretty much the voices of Ireland at Eurovision. And in the last time they were on the show, one of them said that Wild Youth was going to qualify for the final, and the other one didn't realise Romania was in the contest in 2021. To be fair, they're not this year.
I think that's quite embarrassing
for both of us.
If you can tell by their voices, it is Conor and Louise from Eurovision.
Hello.
Hello, Harry. I have never in my life had an introduction like that. So
if you would like to find out which one is which, go back to the episode where the last episode.
I was going to say, I was like, did I say Wild Youth were going to qualify? Oh my God.
Many times over the last year, Conor, and I kept telling you, nice for you. So
I don't think we were there by the beginning of May. No. But anyway, we digress.
Got slowly less delusional as you went along. How have you been this last year, out of curiosity?
Good. Yeah.
Busy. Good to be busy.
Exactly. You'd rather be busy than bored. So,
well, busy with Eurovision stuff.
Also, Eurosong though. I feel like we live and breathe Eurosong these days.
Yeah.
Know? January is like a write-off. Like you try and socialise with Conor or I in January/February. Like,
I mean, to be
this
fair,
is really like quiet season for us.
To be fair, I try and socialise and write off Conor in January, February, March, April, May.
I'll get back eventually, though.
Eurovision friends only between the months of January and May.
Yeah, you never wish me a happy birthday because my birthday's not in that. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, we will kick things off with the 3 questions. We always ask our guests 3 questions. But of course, you guys have been on the show before, so we know your first Eurovision and your favourite Eurovision song. So let's go with some new questions for this season, as we have been so far. So first of all, and feel free, either of you, to answer first. What was your favourite Eurovision moment, or what has been your favourite Eurovision moment from when you were there in person?
Oh my God.
My favourite Eurovision memory was last year in the village during Spain getting their points in the village, and everyone was shocked when it was 5 points and everyone was really quiet, and Lou is there with her sunglasses on, just starts going and it was the funniest thing I have ever witnessed. Everyone was shocked.
I missed that. I was with you.
Everyone was quiet and everyone was shocked. And Lou just goes, hey, and starts doing the hand movement as well. And I was like, go on, Lou. I loved that memory.
It's like that meme, like, anyone want me to rap lighten the mood?
Was it one hand movement for every point they got? Was it 5?
No, lad, stop. We're 5 minutes in. I'm already crying.
But that's mine. But like, there's so many to talk about. Like, so hard to pick one. But that just off the top of my head, that's the first one that popped in.
It's so hard to pick. Oh gosh. I'm really bad for doing this. I always like answering in a few ways. I'll just give 2. When it comes to the arena, in Liverpool, I really loved Daddy Frere coming out and singing Whole Again. When they did that like Liverpool songbook, I just loved that cover. I was real surprised, and like Cornelia, I turned to you, but particularly Daddy's cover. And back to the village, that gave me a good laugh, Conor. Thank you. Not long, probably before that, during the results, myself, Conor, Alex, and Micheál, all from Eurovision, plus lots of other Irish friends, Adam G, loads of others, just deciding we were Belgian. Like, just fully nobody had a conversation about it. It was just like Irish telepathy. We were just like, we are all Belgian now, and we were the rowdiest people in the village. Like, there were Swedish people there who were like, about to win Eurovision, and we were noisier and more obnoxious, screaming for Gustav. Every time he got points, it was daddy in a hat, daddy in a hat.
Yeah.
And like, don't even talk about when he was getting 12s. Like, we were losing our minds.
It's
and
fair he
it
had
was
won the
just,
contest. Like.
I genuinely, I felt so happy. Like, I have not one tie to Belgium. But like, doesn't that just sum up Eurovision for you?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember, and you guys said this in, I think, your recap episode of this show. I sent Conor a voice note saying I never thought I'd be in Liverpool for Eurovision with a load of Irish fans screaming "Daddy in a hat" for Belgium. Because that's one of my favourite moments as well. I loved it.
There you go.
Because meanwhile, you've got you guys screaming for Belgium, and you've got me and Sean from EC United screaming for any points the UK got at the same time. It was like, one from Norway, yes.
I just remember like the looks of our non-Irish friends, like yourselves, Roy from Netherlands, those different people, kind of looking over at us, half with endearment, half like, oh, they're having a great time, half like total confusion, but like, why are they having such a good time? You know?
I think I'd known you guys long enough to not have the confusion, I'll be honest.
Fair.
Good.
Fair.
And then my second question is linked to 2023, and it is very simple. What was your favorite song from last year?
Oh, head or heart. If I'm going with my heart, it's Gustav because of you. I have so many happy memories attached to that song. But the top of my ranking, like the whole way through, and the one I was championing was Czechia. Pasiva, top 10, baby.
Every time I try and leave this, she brings it back up.
I apologize for the question.
I'm just celebrating best now. I didn't say anything to you.
We try and move on from this every year or every month, and it's no, you're being proud.
Has she managed to sneak it in the because you're recording your fifth like short
we have not
review
recorded
episodes.
Czechia yet.
So any second now she will
Tonight,
try and
actually.
mention it.
We're recording it later. Thanks for reminding me, Harry. Cheers.
Sorry, Conor.
Not again. Too much Czechia one day.
Don't worry, Czechia's in semi-final too. We won't be discussing the entry this year. And then yours, Conor.
I don't know. I think probably Tattoo I love, but it has to be Gustav because of you. I think
legally for you, it has to be Gustav for you.
Yeah, like that was our anthem for 2023. So.
Do you know, Conor, like because we've spent so much time together the last 2 years, like probably I've seen Conor more than my own family. You know, genuinely, I'm not joking, yeah. Like I have. And like we've sang that song so many times together. I don't know, is this like kind of a cute thing to admit or kind of weird, but you guys could be the judge. I often like sing it, but like I hear it in Conor's voice in my head.
I love that.
Like I hear you singing it before I hear Gustav singing it.
And I go to bed some nights going, that's my pussy, man, lose voice.
And he's having nightmares.
I'm having nightmares, yeah. Oh, that's nice though. That's lovely.
And then our final question of the is our guest question. We always ask our previous guest to send in a question. So this one has come in from the lovely Sanya. They wanted to know, if you could take part in any previous Eurovision performance, what would it be? And what role, if it's like a group, for example, would you be in that performance?
That is such a good question, and I actually have my answer.
I knew she would.
Do you know what my answer is going to be?
There's a few options for me.
There's quite a few options.
Is it recent enough?
Yeah.
Tranital?
No, that's actually a great shout. That would be
Okay.
up there. I would perform as Senate and Adrenalina, so that I could perform with Flo Rida. I think that would make my whole life. Also, that song is just a party. It was on last in the final. The crowd were loving it. Sen Hit's iconic as well. I loved her outfit. Yeah, that's the first one that came to mind, so I'm going to stick with that one.
Very good shout.
Thank you.
Oh, I don't know. There's so many options.
Got Adrenalina. Just practicing now.
There's so many options. I think Ale.
Oh, that's a good one.
Just the party on
Yeah.
stage. Even though the crowd were they had to sit down because obviously there was no standing audience. So, I don't know. That was the first one that came into my head, so I'll go with that one.
Well, even all the dance moves, including just shaking your bottom. At
Yeah,
the
it's
audience.
easy.
Yeah.
It's easy. It's easy choreography, so no stress. Just shake your booty on the stage.
That is your inner football fan, Connor, coming out there right away.
Booty with the
Lads. So now we move on to the main section of this show, which is, of course, trying to predict the qualifiers from semi-final 1. But before we get into our predictions, let us all remind ourselves who are the 15 songs competing in this semi-final.
Take a look at yourself, 'cause that is what you need to do. 'Cause the only problem in this room is that about you. Little Armenia, little Armenia, little Armenia, little Armenia. That money can solve.
So they were the 15 songs from semi-final 1, and what we have done, like last year, is myself, Connor and Louise have ranked all of those songs from most likely to qualify to least likely to qualify. So it's not necessarily where we think they will exactly finish, it's just more an odds-based thing, a percentage. Now, I have asked my guests here two things. I have asked them, one, not to share their rankings or predictions amongst each other, so they do not know their own rankings, nor do they know the 10 songs that we are going to discuss in detail. And also, as you are probably aware, these two guests here have a connection to one country in specific in this semi-final. So in my instructions, I did ask them to be as unbiased as possible when doing their ranking. I will let you comments decide whether they have fulfilled that criteria later on. So before we actually get into it, I wanted to ask, how did you find ranking semi-final 1 prediction-wise?
I must say, right, there's been this narrative that semi 1 is bloodbath, and that it's kind of like was it last year's semi 1 where it was like 9 spots were taken and there was maybe only 1 up for grabs. Portugal got it in the end, whatever. And it was a similar vibe for this one. But then when I went to and ranked it, I was like, it's way more open than I thought it was.
I agree.
You the same?
I agree. Yeah, I think 6 slots are probably filled, 4 open.
Interesting. Well, I would argue personally that this is maybe a bloodbath first half, and then the second half is a bit weaker. Well, you say 6 slots, Connor. What's interesting is, and now I wouldn't do this if we all agreed on all 10 or like it was close, but the interesting thing is we only all agreed on 5 songs out of these 15 that were going to qualify, and there's only 2 songs that we all agree are not going to qualify. So that leaves leaves 8 songs somewhere in here that we are mixed on. And now what's interesting here is 2 of the people are in the same room. So if one of their favourites has been put out by the other, we will...
Also, the optics if the 2 Irish people put Ireland through and the British person doesn't. Just saying.
You don't know the rankings, Louise.
At the end of the day.
Make a note of where that is on the timestamp. Make a note of the
1555.
Thank you, Connor.
Oh my god.
So let's get on with the ranking. As we did last time, we will go from most likely to least likely as we go on, just to leave a little bit of suspense at the end, rather than random, where you could probably predict some of these. So, in the first spot, in our opinion, the most likely to qualify from semi-final 1 is Ukraine. So that was Aliona and Jerry Hall with Teresa and Maria, Ukraine's song, and our opinion, the most likely to qualify from semi-final 1. I actually have this in second most likely to qualify from the semi-final, and it is my Irish guests here that both have it at number 1 in their rankings. I promise you they have not put the same ranking for every single song. I have the results here. You're fine. So we will kick things off with you. I feel like these early ones are pretty straightforward in terms of the question's a bit redundant. So, Louise, why do you think Ukraine is going to make the final?
Oh, like you could write an essay. This song is really good quality. It has a lot of support in the fan community. It fuses genres really nicely. Ukraine has sent songs like this before and they've been rewarded. Ukraine has a 100% qualification rate, and I don't see that going anytime soon. They're always really heavily supported, particularly in recent years with the televote and so on. And I think they're great performers. Also, historically, we know that Ukraine can really polish up staging very well throughout the season. I don't feel their Vidbeer performance was as good as it can be on the Eurovision stage. So it's kind of an exciting prospect that there's so much potential for what was already a very strong package. This is the song I put it first because I'm most confident that this will go through. This would be the biggest shock for me if it non-qualified.
Very true. And Connor, I'd imagine you echo that sentiment.
Yeah, nothing much to add. If I had a mortgage, I'd put it on Ukraine. It's guaranteed to go through. So something dramatic would have to happen for them. They'd have to withdraw for them not to get to the final.
They'd still manage a way to find into the final. I'm very much the same. I only have it at number 2 just because the televote element puts another song slightly ahead for me. But like, I still am pretty much 100% confident that this is making the final, 100% qualifying record from Ukraine, and this is a potential contender to win the whole show. So I would highly doubt that this is not making the final. And yeah, it is just really good quality. It's I think it's better than what Ukraine have sent in the last couple of years, and I include the winner from 2022, even though I do love Stefania. This is right up there as an all-time Ukraine entry, and it's not one that's staying in Tuesday, put it that way. This will be in the final, I believe, and that is our first one, Ukraine. So now we move on to our second most likely qualifier, and I would argue that so far we're not going into any surprises, as it is Croatia. So that was Baby Lasagna with Rim Tim Tagi Dim, Croatia's entry for Eurovision 2024, and our second predicted qualifier of semi-final one. We actually all have different results for this. Louise, you have this down in third most likely. Connor, you've got this at number 2. So far we are just going off your ranking. And I actually have this at number 1 most likely. So Louise, we'll start with you. Is it just the case that you had 2 more songs that are more likely to qualify for the final?
Yeah, interestingly, I had this second, like when I was preparing this for you, and I just kind of last minute flipped it with the country I put second. And literally, it just came down to historical voting patterns. Just the country I put in second, I just thought always smashes semi-finals, always smashes televote with any kind of strong songs. I could make a slightly better case for the country I put ahead of Croatia, but similar to like what we said with Ukraine, I would be really shocked to not see Croatia in the final. It's clearly quite a fan favorite. It's catchy and it will stand out.
Yes. Now, Connor, I do have a bit of a bone to pick with you because I am an avid listener of Eurovision, as you are, and do listen to your shows. Now, I remember listening to your Croatia episode. What the hell happened there with the hearts on the screen? Okay.
Harry's beefing with Connor, and I'm like, oh.
Spread love.
It was for saying you're an avid Eurovision listener. Thank you, Harry.
Oh, well, thank you, as everyone should be. But basically, I remember listening to the episode where you discussed Croatia. Now, Croatia, big fan favorite amongst the community. And I remember this male voice that was on the episode that day, completely and utterly slagging off this entry, saying it was one of the worst of the year, it was really bad. And now, look, Connor, everyone makes mistakes in life, and that's fine. We are all allowed to make mistakes. So I will now allow you this opportunity to redeem yourself and prove everyone that that was just a slip up, that you it is actually fine. Croatia is a good entry, and that's why you have it in second most likely.
Called out.
Don't worry, I don't have it for any other one. You're fine.
I did not like this early on. I really did not. I still think it is slightly overrated. I do not see this as a winner. I don't think it will do anything amazing on the scoreboard. I think it could be like 7th to 10th in like the best possible scenario, but I still think it is a very overrated entry for this year. But it's catchy. I like it. I stream it. It's gone up on my personal ranking a lot over the last few weeks. But yeah, I'll admit it. I did not like this early on. I thought it was very overrated. One of the stupidest songs early on, but now I like it. I do like it. I still think it's very generic with the whoa, like that's not revolutionary and that's not a winner in my eyes. But yeah, you called me out on my original opinion. But yeah, it will probably qualify. So that's why it's number 2 for me.
I'm going to back Connor here. I was low-key agreeing with him. I actually don't, to be honest, remember what we both said on that episode. But I think I was kind of in agreement with you. And similarly, I've like come around to it's going to do better than I would put it. But I agree. I don't think it should win.
To be fair, pulling back the curtain, I thought to myself, oh yeah, I do remember actually, Louise, you were also struggling with this one initially, but I just forgot to call you out as well. I just went straight to the question. I was like, oh yeah. No.
It's fair for Connor to take all the flak there.
How rude of you.
Well, I know Connor can take it, but But look, okay, we've got him a bit more on our side, guys. Okay, he's a bit more redeemed. Now, look, last year, many fans will know that I wasn't a fan of Croatia's entry, and I reluctantly put them in my predicted qualifiers for Let Free. I have no
You're
such
right.
reluctance. I have no such reluctance this year with Baby Lasagna. It's pure televote fodder. It's a favorite to potentially win the thing. I think it could still do it. I don't think it is the favorite. I am partly also holding out hope because I've got Croatia in a sweepstake this year, so I'm hoping I win that. But I mean, it's the best thing Croatia have sent in years, and I don't know what their best result is in the 21st century. I know their best result overall was like 4th in 96 or 7. Easily could beat that. Easily could beat their 21st century best result, and to do that, they will get to the final. So yeah, it's nice that it's nice to see a new country sort of be a safe qualifier, and I believe Croatia is that at this stage. So now we come to our third most likely qualifier, and this time we are going to the Baltic nation of Lithuania. That was Sylvester Belt with Look Telk, Lithuania's entry for Eurovision 2024, and our third most likely qualifier. So, put it simply, this is the final song in all of our top threes. Louise has this at number 2. Conor and I have this at number 3. Seriously, we do deviate from Conor's personal predicted ranking at some point.
Love it for you.
It's all right. It's all right.
Some points during this show. But Conor, let's come to you first. Sylvester Bell, arguably one of Lithuania's probably more popular entries in recent Eurovision. Why do you see it being so secure in its place in the final?
I think it's what you said there. It's a fan favorite amongst the fans, obviously, if it's a fan favorite. But this is catchy. It's got a nice running order slot. Obviously, it's not the best, but it's not the worst. Lithuania have loads of friends in the semi-final as well, which is really beneficial. I can see an Irish audience giving this 10 or 12. So I think this is, yeah, it's just Ukraine and Croatia for me. We're slightly more, higher percentage in my eyes, but this is again, I would put my mortgage on this going through, and I think Lithuania will do very, very well this year.
How many mortgages do you have, Conor? This is
All these properties.
all these properties around the country.
Eurovision treating you well. Louise, you this was the song, Louise, that you had slightly higher than Croatia. What are your thoughts on Lithuania then?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier when we were talking about Croatia, it was literally just historical voting patterns. Lithuania have gotten through to the final convincingly with far less than this, I believe. Now, the song isn't really, it just hasn't clicked with me still. Like, I've been waiting for it. I think I'm enjoying it more. Like, I like the bass in it quite a lot, but I'm not really streaming it. I think it's really good live. If I were to experience Lithuanian entry, I would stick on the national selection performance. I think Sylvester, for me, is probably the best part of the whole package. The siding's really good. The lighting is very good. For me, actually, I just aren't hugely keen on the song. I just don't feel like it's anything really new. It's like fairly run-of-the-mill pop song, but it's really, really solid. I think it's a dark horse in a sense that people, I think, believe it will do well. And I see it, but I think it could do even better than we anticipate. I wouldn't rule this out of climbing into like even a top 5 in the final if the cards fell the right way for Lithuania with a nice running order. Who knows? But I was very confident when ranking this for you that they'll go through.
Yeah, I sort of agree. I mean, a lot of fans, I think, want this to beat Lithuania's current best result of 6th place with "We Are the Winners of Eurovision," which I can understand why. I can understand why people would want to beat.
That the Roof didn't do that, right?
I am surprised they didn't do. I mean, 2021 was a very strong year.
Yeah, 7th was so good.
Yes, I would argue 2024 is a very strong year as well. So Sylvester Belt does have an uphill task. I'm sort of the opposite when it comes to uniqueness, in my opinion of it. I find this special Eurovision in the sense that I find it unique without a gimmick, which I think is so rare. Like, this stands out, but it doesn't rely on like I'm sorry, it's because you're here, but a turkey being singing the song, for example, was the first example I could come into my head. For me, this is quality. It's one of my favorite Lithuanian entries. This and another country that might be discussed later heavily are helped by diaspora voting in this semi-final, with Ireland and the UK both voting in here. This would have qualified, I think, without it, but it certainly gives them a leg up. And the one thing I sort of want from this is I want a new version for Spotify where they've got the new studio ending, because that elevates this so much more live. And Conor and I can confirm we both saw this at LEP, and Louise, you saw this at Melfest. This is an experience live. It is very good. So yeah, not much more to add. Lithuania, the third most likely qualifier from semi-final 1. So now we move on to our fourth most likely qualifier. And up next, we have the host country's neighbours in Finland.
No rules. It's how I live, how I find the wind beneath my wings. It's how I learn to fly. Come on! No rules.
So that was Windows 95 Man with No Rules, Finland's entry for Eurovision 2024 and our fourth most likely qualifier. Conor, for God's sake, can we go away from your ranking? You have this in fourth. I, to be fair, also have this. I also have this in fourth myself, to be fair. Louise, you have this down in sixth. So it's still a predicted qualifier, but not quite as high as us. Conor, we'll start with you again. I feel like this might be, as much as you haven't necessarily loved some of the songs we've talked about so far, I feel like this might be the first example of predicted ranking being higher than personal ranking.
Absolutely, definitely. I've come around to like it since UMK. At first, I was not on it at all. I think the studio track is a lot better than the live performance. Vocally, I find it very hard to listen to live. It's not vocally on point. It's like X Factor auditions, like, you know, the bad ones the complications.
Do you not like the raspy? Do you not like the raspy voice of Windows 95 Man? Say quiet.
But it's the other guy.
That's you like?
No, it's the other guy that it's like. Oh no, it's too painful on my life. Yeah, but that's good. That's the other fella can't do it. So, yeah, it's hard. Like, they're lovely and stuff. I think this will qualify. Personally, I would have this like 12th, 11th. And that's an improvement from where it was, I might add. But I enjoyed the entry. I do like it, but I think the live performance is just it shouldn't, in my eyes, go through, but we know it will.
Yeah, Louise, you're slightly less confident on this, but still fairly safe qualifier in Finland.
Yeah, like, again, kind of like what I said was it Croatia. I'm more confident in two other countries making this.
Yeah.
But interestingly, Conor, I think I've predicted this lower than you, but I think it will be higher in my personal ranking than yours because I've quite come around to this. Now, in fairness, I haven't experienced it live in person. So when I go to Amsterdam this weekend, I might come back and say, not the one. But when it comes out of ESA radio and stuff, I can't help it. I'm just bopping. So that's on a personal note. It's grown on me a lot in terms of just looking at it objectively, prediction wise. This is going to grab attention.
Yeah.
Viewers won't forget it. Everybody knows that logo. I know they technically have to blur it out, don't they? But
yeah, people
will still get it. The egg in itself on the stage is, you know, kind of a gimmick that will be eye-catching. I think an arena audience are going to respond to this and have a bit of a rave, have a bit of a party. And yeah, I'm like relatively confident in its chances. I think I've pushed it down because I believe other countries have a slightly better chance, but also this does have the potential to completely fall apart live. I don't think it will happen. I don't think Finland will do that, but there's a possibility. So that's why I've marked.
Possibility. I did not want to put it as high as fourth, but it's a televote only semi-final, which means it's pretty much certain in there. It's eye-catching. It stands out in the second half as well. Maybe if this was in the first half, there's a bit more chaos there. But yeah, this is going through. I don't want it to. I feel like this might be the main example this year of the hardcore Eurovision fans disagreeing with the likely result. In the final, I'm not sure how much it will do because juries will actually be factored in at that point. But yeah, for the semi-final, it feels fairly safe. I'm intrigued to see how this does because it might impact how Finland do in future years with UMK and the kind of songs that they do get. But looking short term, I mean, the air, just even if they replicated the UMK staging, they're fairly safe. I would rather not I'd rather the guy put some pants earlier, but that's a personal, it's a personal thing. But yeah, as much as we're slightly more down there, apart from Louise, who loves it at the moment, we believe that we maybe by the time this comes out, we might be after. How were you doing that?
Didn't even do
With your
anything.
hand.
Oh, did I?
Yeah. It was just the way he was holding the mic.
Connor likes it now. No, it doesn't work when you try for some reason.
It's so
but
weird.
that-
It's like
Yeah, it picks it up when your hand's like down here.
so stupid. Oh, there you go.
Hey! I mean, this is great for the audio version.
you go.
But anyway, that's our thoughts on Finland, the fourth most likely qualifier in our opinion for semi-final one. So now we come to our fifth most likely qualifier, the last one that we will discuss before we take a little bit of a break from predicting qualifiers. And now, I did say that we agreed on 5 songs. However, that does not mean that they are necessarily our top 5, because this is the first time we actually have a little bit of disagreement here in our predicted qualifiers. So, our fifth most likely qualifier is Serbia. That was Teodora with Ramondar, Serbia's entry for Eurovision 2024. Now, I say that there's disagreement. Louise, me and you, we're on a similar wavelength here. I've got this in 5th in my ranking, and you've got this in 4th, most likely to qualify for the final. Connor, my dear boy, Connor. I don't think we're sticking to your ranking anymore, are we? On this one.
It started out so well.
Do you care to tell us where you think Serbia is? But bear in mind, Serbian fans do like to watch various content like predictions and stuff like that. Care to tell us where you have this in your most likely to qualify?
I believe I have a 12th.
You do have this at 12, so not qualifying for the final.
Yeah, I just worry for it being in that second spot. I'll say that again.
Second spot.
Second spot. I just worry for it being in that second slot. It's so early. I think it's going to be a battle between Serbia and Portugal for that kind of slower, dramatic ballad. And I think just because Portugal's later on, I favoured Portugal. And that's really it. It's not that I dislike the song because I would have it as a personal qualifier, but I just worry for it being so early on. That first half is really, really noisy. And I think it could either stand out or it could kill it off completely. But I do think if it's going to be out of the 2 kind of slower songs, I think Portugal will win that battle and just miss out, unfortunately, for Serbia.
Well, we'll find out later if we agree, me and Louise, on Portugal enough to talk about this later. Let's go on to the positive side. Louise, we have this considerably higher in our predictions. You have this only 1 place below Croatia compared to Connor's 10 difference between the 2 songs. The magic of predictions. So I think, despite being slot 2, Serbia are regular contenders for the final. I know they only scraped through, but was that last year, I mean, but in terms of this year, was that part of the reason why you had them so high in your ranking, or is it more to do with the song?
It's a mix, I'd say, Harry. I kind of give a little, now that we've had a few countries that I can talk about that you've mentioned, I'll kind of talk about how in my head I arrange my votes.
The maths of Louise.
So,
the maths of Louise.
Yeah. So I took into consideration like the song quality, historical voting patterns, diaspora or neighbor voting in the semi-final, running order, you know what I mean, the things that we've all mentioned. But then I kind of did, if people are familiar with the ESC Gerber sorter kind of model, so I would say, okay, Ukraine versus Lithuania, who's more likely? Ukraine. Ukraine versus Croatia. He's more like Ukraine. Okay, Lithuania versus Croatia. Oh, I don't know. Okay, Lithuania versus Serbia. I was kind of doing it that way, and that was helping me to sort it out. So I have put Serbia relatively high. I do like the song. It's probably not this high in my personal ranking. It's probably in like the latter half of my top 10. I think this is really solid. I definitely take your point, Connor, about the running order. I think that if Serbia is hurting the results, it is probably because of the second slot. But then I was thinking about it when I was doing ranking, and I was like, I don't see the third slot hurting Lithuania. That first half is just so chock-a-block. It's so competitive. There's very few weak links in the first half of the semi-final, being honest. And I think Serbia does have enough neighbour voting in the semi-final to help them. Kind of up there with, they're not quite a Ukraine, but up there with Lithuania. They traditionally have always performed very strongly when it comes to televote. They've got their Balkan countries in there, as I've mentioned. She could be, you know, I think particularly if Cyprus doesn't perform well in the opening slot, Serbia could kind of roll in with a more mature sound and really stand out and be a nice palate cleanser before, you know, Lithuania goes and kicks off the pop party. So I just feel quite confident in Serbia making it, especially because the national selection performance was really, really strong and eye-catching. The fact that I have those visuals to go on to helps my prediction.
National final visuals can really help with in certain national finals. I think it can help massively. Serbia's a weird one because the second because I've got this in fifth, literally where we have this here. The second I saw Serbia was in slot 2, I was like, well, it's still going to qualify. I didn't really have any doubts or links to the curse because I was like, no, the staging's good. It stands out because it's a ballad. And another thing with Serbia, an interesting thing about Serbia is they're actually very used to performing early in semi-finals. Since, I believe the stat is, since the EBU decided the running order themselves, Serbia have only performed in a double-digit slot once. They have they closed in 2013 and they haven't performed past 9 any other year. Like the last 3 years have been 3-3-2. So 1 year maybe Serbia will get a later draw in the they don't seem to need it. They've only failed to qualify twice. And ironically, one of those times was in 2013 when they had that later draw and closed the show. But yeah, for me, Teodora's a class performer. It's a very moving song. It's one of my main growers this year since I first heard it. I can see there being an audience for this. You've got the likes of Croatia voting in here. You've got somewhat neighboring countries in the likes of Slovenia and Moldova. Those links there could help. Yeah, it also has that ethnic element which can transcend to more Western audiences when it comes to votes. Yeah, I'm pretty much in quite disagreement with Connor here in terms of I was quite shocked to see it quite low in his ranking, but you know, good for you. That is,
I feel like we'll all have wild cards. I think I know.
We've got 6 till 10 coming up, Louise. Don't you worry about it. But for now, Serbia, despite one person being the odd one out, we believe overall will fairly certainly qualify for the final.
And now it's time for... Okay, we gotta go. 30 seconds.
And now we come to another edition of OK, Gotta Go 30 Seconds. As always, inspired by our golden boy from 2015. Now, Conor and Louise, you have previously been on this show, so you have infamously taken part in this game beforehand. But of course, you can't just have another go at the countries. That would be far too, well, it wouldn't be far too easy, but it would be almost cheating in a sense. So now we have a new variant for this year, as many regular listeners will know, of the years. So I have the last 15 years of Eurovision randomly assigned a number between 1 and 15. So just to clarify, that is 2009 to 2023. We are not including 2024, despite all the songs being out. You will have 30 seconds individually. You don't do this as a team, to name as many entries from that year that you get as possible. Yeah, in 30 seconds. You can only have to give me the song title. You do not have to give me the song artist or the country itself. Obviously, don't just give me countries because that would be far too easy to just name like 30 countries I've been in all 15. You get some lifelines. The first one is year restart. If at any point you are struggling with your year, you can pick another year, say another number between 1 and 15, and you'll get that year. Winner check if you would like to know who won a certain year to refresh your memory. Ask me and I will tell you the country. And then the final one is recency bias. It is a variant on year restart. If you would like a more recent year of Eurovision, then say recency bias, then a number between 1 and 5, and then you'll get one of the last 5 years of Eurovision. The only downside to that rule is if you use recency bias, any points you will then later get will be halved. There is a bonus point option as well, though. If you obviously you can say these in any order you like. However, if you can name me at least the top 5 entrants from a certain year in order, then any countries you name in order of where they finished will be doubled. So the example I always say is if you name me the top 7 through 1 to 7, you will get 14 points. After 5, you can name them in any order you like. So you can go 1 to 7, and then the song that came in 31st. You would just get 15 points at that point. You can only do this for 1 year, so no year restart, and then doing it for 2 years if you are clever enough to do that. And then if you pick the year 2020, apologies, you cannot do that bonus point option. And the one rule that hasn't changed that you will be familiar with is your time will start when you hear the year, and your time will end when you hear the following.
Okay, hit the end.
The trauma from that.
So, obviously, both of you have taken part in this game show before. Connor, I believe you did actually very well on this one last time. I believe you came in the top 5 overall.
Oh.
What country did you have?
Lithuania.
Lithuania.
Okay, it's a good one.
Louise, on the
Interesting.
other hand, ended up, admittedly,
I'm sorry,
with a few
0 points.
with a few other people. Louise, you weren't alone, but you did end up joint last year.
You get 1. I just panicked.
You got one. You got 1, and then you were last because you used a lifeline. So,
Oh yeah. My favorite thing about that was Roy being on like your next episode and being like, "I don't care once I beat Louise."
yeah, he was on a future episode and did that. For those who haven't seen Louise's first attempt at OK, Gotta Go 30 Seconds, please do go back and listen to that episode. I wish we were doing video back then because that would be even better.
You would have seen my tears.
You swore as well, didn't you? Which was very unlikely.
Yeah, I just panicked. I'm a bit of a panicker in these situations.
But in the summary of the game, she basically got to a point where she forgot a song called Amnesia, and that's the whole punchline of her.
It is very funny. I was like, who was it? Who was it? You're one. I don't like her.
Were they even in the contest in 2021, as you mentioned, as you asked?
Yeah, were they there?
Not me just erasing them.
So
Oh,
my
it's
whole
funny.
point was, Connor, maybe for you as well. How are you feeling going into this variant of the game?
I'm all right if it's more recent, but I don't want to use the recency bias lifeline because I don't want half points. So I don't know. I'm okay from like 2013 on, I think. We'll see. We'll see.
Okay. So you've got
We'll
a
see.
1 in 4 chance of a year that you don't like. Louise, any more confidence in you for this year?
I don't want to say anything. 'Cause, like, I feel like the expectations are low for me. So at least if I do badly, we can be like, "Oh, we expected it," and if I do well, it'll be a pleasant surprise.
Well, let's see what you are competing against this year, because unlike last year, where half of the competitors scored just 1 point, the scores are a bit better this year. So, in last place with 2 points, it is Sanya. In 10th place with 3, Samuele. Joint 8th, it is Chris and Joshua with 4. Jess is in 7th with 5. Joint 5th with 6 is Ruben and Tommy. In 4th place with 7, it is Twan. In 3rd place with 8, it's Dylan. 2nd place with 11, it's Dom. And out in 1st, she's been there for a little while now. In 1st place with 12, it is Yana. So that is what you are up against. All you have to do is beat 2, Louise. That is what will keep you off last.
Once we beat Tommy, the fellow Irishman, I think we're fine.
What did Tommy
Yeah.
get again?
6 is what you are
That's
beating if you are aiming
That's
for Tommy.
decent. Yeah, could be
That
worse.
is
Yeah.
decent. Now, usually when I've got 2 guests on, I would flip a coin to see who goes first. But I think for the sake of the suspense, I think Connor should go first, and then we will leave.
Oh.
Wow.
I was going to say ladies first.
I think for the suspense, we should have Connor go first.
Okay, okay.
No.
Good luck, Connor.
Connor. And obviously, you're in the same room, no helping each other out. We want a fair.
We
Can
wouldn't
I-
anyway.
I'm going to do it in my head, just out of interest. And see
Oh yeah,
how
yeah,
it's
yeah,
gone.
absolutely. Go play along at home, I suppose, is the phrase we can use there. So, Connor, can you pick a number between 1 and 15?
7.
Number 7. Okay, I'll get that year up for you right now. So, Connor, you will have 30 seconds to name as many entries from 2009. Go.
Year swap.
Pick a year. Number.
Oh, 4.
4. 2011. Go.
Oh, Jesus. Lipstick. I can. Running Scared. Rockefeller Street. Who else was in the country? Oh, what's the country called? What's the song? That's hard.
That was a hard year.
That was
in
a hard
fairness, yeah.
year because it's so crap.
Right, that's my
It
least
was
favourite
rubbish.
year.
Yeah.
It is the worst year, but yet genuinely, it ends up in a random spot every time. Everyone seems to get 2011 every time.
So
for this.
bad. So bad.
I knew you weren't going to do well as soon as I saw the year that you initially got.
So I was like, yeah, stop. Get away.
You forgot the rules. You forgot to just say another number.
Oh.
I was like, what? Do you want just to give you another year, Connor?
Yeah,
I was like, that's
anything.
not how it works. Well, for those playing along at home, I won't do 2009 because you basically didn't give that a go. But for those playing along at home for 2011, if you wanted the bonus point option, you would have said Running Scared from Azerbaijan, Madness of Love from Italy, Popular from Sweden, Angel from Ukraine, and New Tomorrow from Denmark. If you'd have said at least those 5 in order, you would have got the bonus point option. Obviously, Connor started with the classic of Jedward, and at least you got your own country.
Eurovision.
I always think it's a good sign as long as you get your own country at some point in the 30
Exactly.
seconds. But with that, Connor, you scored a grand total of 4 points, which puts you in joint
Not
8th
last.
at the
Woo, woo,
moment.
woo.
It
That's
puts you in-
okay. I'll take that.
I, hand on heart, think you are the only person to... Hang on, I've got the leaderboard here from last series. You are the only person to score either equal or less than your attempt from last year, Connor. I think everyone else has
You
improved.
changed the game. So
And most people
what's the
enjoy it.
problem?
So you are tied with Chris and Joshua at the moment with 4
I'm happy with
points.
that, considering the year.
Yeah, it was a tough one.
Yes, you did have hard years, I will say. So let's turn to our attention to Louise now. So Louise, for obvious reasons, you can't say numbers 4 or 7. Although to be fair, I'm not sure you would want to say either of those numbers with those years.
That's
But
an advantage for her now. That's an advantage.
it wasn't last year. She had the same advantage.
I did actually. Yeah.
So Louise, apart from 4 and 7, can you give me a number between 1 and 15?
12.
Number 12. Okay, I am getting the entries from number 12.
Watch her
the
get
year of the
2023 now.
So, Louise, you will have 30 seconds to name as many entries from 2021. Go.
Ziti Buoni. Voila. 2 Looniverse. 10 years. I can't remember who came 5th. Maps. Embers. I don't feel hate now. That was 2022. Countries. Who do I like here? Oh, Angelina!
That made it.
Yes, it did.
I will give you Adrenalina. It just.
Oh, Russian woman.
Are you in the lead now?
I don't know. I think it
You got
six
double
or
points.
six or seven.
Despite what you said, I Don't Feel Hate was from 2021.
Oh god, I'm
Jem?
sorry. I just panicked. I was going through the big 5s then, because yeah.
No, you were so close to you. I think Louise, in particular, you were going to kick yourself when I tell you what 5th place was. So for the bonus point option, you almost got there. You got Ziti Buoni, you got Voila,
Yeah.
you've got Toute l'Univers, you got 10 years, and then 5th place. Connor, do you know who was 5th place was?
Ooh. no idea.
Oh, was it? No, that was 2022. I was thinking of Bitty Zaba. Sorry.
No, it was Shum from Ukraine that came
Oh.
in fifth place.
Why did I not think of Ukraine?
You in particular, I know you love that entry as well. So that is
do,
a
yeah.
I was
Oh.
pulling for you because if you got that bonus point option, there was a real chance you could have taken the whole lead. And then the massive comeback story.
I feel like I've had a redemption though, guys.
Well, Louise, I can tell you, you scored a grand total of 8 points, which puts you tied on the podium in 3rd place.
Yay!
The biggest improvement in this game by a country mile.
I feel like a Eurovision fan again. I was really embarrassed after the Romania debacle.
The curse has been lifted. Year over year curse.
I can sleep at night now. It's been
Louise
a long year.
Louise will actually feel fine sharing this episode with friends.
Yeah, and Roy, if you're on it, beat that.
I will now have to get him on just for that, just to try and beat. 'Cause he might, there's a good chance he will. But if he's not on the show, I will make sure in Malmo he does this game at some point, just in person or something. So, with that being said, as a quick reminder, Conor is currently in joint 9th place now with 4 points. And Louise, top of the Irish fans that have done this game in joint 3rd with Dylan, who ironically was also joint with you last time, but for different reasons. So
Happy for you, Dylan. Well done.
Yes. But of course, Yana still on top there with 12 points. And that concludes another edition of OK, Gotta Go 30 Seconds. So now we come on to the remaining 5 qualifiers for semi-final 1. So far, we believe Ukraine, Croatia, Lithuania, Finland and Serbia are all in the final in Malmo. But of course, we have 5 left. One of them we all agree on. We'll find out where that is later on. But then the other 4, there is some debate on where they are. So without further ado, let's continue. Our 6th most likely qualifier from this semi-final. Of course, it had to be in there. Ireland.
Hey!
Guess you'd rather have a star than the moon. I guess I always overestimate you. Who do all the things that you do?
That was Bambi Fug and Doomsday Blue, Ireland's entry for Eurovision 2024. And according to us, our 6th most likely qualifier for semi-final 1. So, Conor and Louise, ironically, you both agreed on this one. You both had this in 5th place in your ranking. What the hell was that? For those who listen to the audio, for those who didn't see or like listening
It's
for audio,
it's just our code. You know.
no, Switzerland's in the other semi-con. Yeah, one of them went for a high five, the other went for a fist bump. So yeah, it didn't work. So I will leave the floor for you on this one, of course. So, in your most unbiased hat as possible, can you please explain why you believe that Ireland will be breaking their, is it 4 non-qualification streak at Eurovision? Since 2018?
We've qualified once since 20.
Once in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
I
So
believe-
we qualified in 2013, 2018, and that's been it.
Yeah, I believe because you know I'm a stats man. Since between Malmo to Malmo, I believe you have the worst qualifying record in the contest. But you think that will You think that will change this year? Please care to explain why?
Absolutely. We're sending a witch. Like, come on. Of course, it's going to change. I have been very...
I would be very careful considering I know some of your other rankings and saying you're sending a witch, you're qualifying. But anyway, that's just one for later, Cameron.
We'll get a spell on you. It's like the effects in this camera. We can get things to go.
Anyway, go on.
But ever since Eurosong, I've been very confident that we are going to qualify. I think it's just because it's Ireland. People have been skeptical about our chances. I have this as a safe qualifier. I think Bambi is bringing us back to the final. The pre-party performances have just proved that their stage presence is incredible. You can only imagine what the staging is going to be like when we come to Malmo. Their video projects that they've done, their looks that they've given us, post Euro, like during the Eurovision season, and also before Eurovision itself, you see the creativity that they have. So I have this as a safe qualifier, and I will be shocked, and I will actually give up on Eurovision if we are not in that final, because if something like Croatia from last year can qualify and this does not qualify, I don't know what is wrong with Eurovision. My point made.
Let free qualifying in general is.
Please don't forget Eurovision, because I can't run this podcast without you, mate. Like,
you just get Alex Basmati comes in as the new.
She's in the wings.
No, we couldn't do it without Conor. I have to echo everything Conor said. Yeah, we've been championing Bambi over at like Eurovision, and like not just because we're Irish. Well, obviously, largely we're supporting Bambi because we're Irish, of course, but we do like really love the song. We do really believe in Bambi. You know, we were there in the late studio chanting "Send the witch" along with everybody else, and it was just the best option for us from the 300 plus songs we had submitted this year. It was the best option really when it came down to it. Again, like I really tried to be, fair when doing this ranking, and I used my formula that I mentioned earlier. My formula. I don't know.
Formula. Yeah.
Formula. I was like, I'm always going to be more confident on a Ukrainian song, probably qualifying over Ireland's, and I was like, Lithuania versus Ireland. Lithuania could have. I was doing it that way. But then when it came down to it, and I was explaining this to someone last night because they were kind of querying how high I had Ireland. I was just like sharing my predictions with somebody else. And I was saying, from the countries that are left under this, I just see Ireland having the edge. Like, it's so different. It's so different. It's going to catch that alternative vote. There's nothing like this, not only just in the semi-final, but in the whole of this year's contest. There have been like parallels drawn with what Raven's doing, but I just don't think that package is strong enough. Sorry, a spoiler for potential later rankings. Obviously, I have it lower, but the only thing for me is, like, I mentioned this recently when I was on another stream. It's like the head versus heart, where it's actually nearly like my head is like, of course Bambi's in. Like, how can Bambi not be in? It's so strong. It's so different. But my little Irish heart wants protecting. I'm so used to the disappointment. Even like, there's years when I've loved Irish entries. Like, I loved Maps and was really disappointed for Leslie. You know what I mean? There's been a lot of different years where I felt that disappointment. So I nearly want to like protect my heart and be like, like maybe we'll work on the night, but it will. Bambi's going to bring it.
I think as well with the build up, usually we're always like, it's actually an improvement. It's like, we might actually sneak in. I've never gone into Eurovision this confident about an entry from Ireland before. So I think that's why I'm not worried. I'm not stressing. I feel like we're there already, if that makes sense. Now watch it like, fall apart or something like that, and I'll be eating my own words. But I genuinely, I can see us there on the Saturday night already. So
see you there on the Saturday night, and it's fantastic for Irish people to have confidence in their entry. Now, you notice I didn't mention where I have this in my ranking.
Yeah.
So where I have this in my ranking is.
Don't you dare even say it.
Don't
you dare even say
crap, you're still here.
Look at Lucy.
I missed the start of the poll, so I'm genuinely a bit concerned. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I don't know if you noticed. It's only my water bottle here. If you heard something crash, it was my water bottle.
Like, in more ways than one. Are you okay?
Yeah, no, I planned that. Yeah, I'm fine.
But like, are you okay?
Hang on, my camera's moved up. Okay, there we go.
It followed your head very well as you went back there.
Yeah, so I have this 12th most likely to qualify, so outside of the predicted slots. I genuinely almost put this in my 10 just because I knew who my guests were.
Connor's face.
What's wrong with you?
Okay, it's far too. So I do have logic because I'm just going to say this now. If this was a ranking of my personal 10 in the final, would Ireland be in? Absolutely, absolutely, this will be in there. I really like Ireland this year. It's one of my growers of the season. I love Bambi's creativity. I think Bambi is the best thing that Ireland could have sent for Eurovision at the time. I love the fact Ireland are taking a risk. And I have been very vocal about wanting Ireland to qualify just because for the final, just in general at Eurovision, because I have so many Irish friends, including you two, that I would love to see you joyous and celebratory in your qualifying. Conor, I know you're going to semi-final 1. I am as well. I will try and spot you in the crowd if Ireland qualifies. It won't be hard, probably, but
When you see my costume, you won't be able to.
okay. That being said, I have 2 logical reasons why I don't think Ireland are in. I would say out of the polarizing entries this year, Ireland is the one that might have been has got the least amount of positive praise. And what I mean by that is I'm comparing this to the likes of Netherlands. I'm comparing this to the likes of Switzerland, Estonia, Finland even. I think we're all more secure. Croatia. So I don't know if it just enough people will get it, because I would argue, never seen something like this at Eurovision before. It is a complete unknown how a Eurovision audience will react to this. And also, if this was in the second half, I maybe would put this in my 10. But, and this is a slight spoiler for my other semi-final predictions, the rest of the semi-final predictions, I do not believe every song in that first half is going to qualify for the final. Now, admittedly, neither do you two, but for different reasons to me. And sadly, the one that misses out is Ireland. And I can't shake that thought of it's not going to be every song in that first half. And I have more confidence in the other 6, sadly. But I want to be wrong. You can rub it in my face in Malmo for as long as the rest of the trip. If I am wrong here, I've got no problem with that. I might even change my tune once I see the staging. So now we come to our 7th most likely qualifier, and this is actually the final one that we all agree on for our predicted qualifiers, and it is Poland. That was The Tower by Luna, Poland's entry for Eurovision 2024, and our 7th most likely qualifier. As I said, we all have it in our qualifying spots. I have this in 6th most likely. Conor and Louise matching again with the 9th most likely qualifier from semi-final 1. So we all agree that this will be in the final, but Conor, we'll come to you first. It's very much borderline for you based on your ranking, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think the friendly votes for Poland would just scrape this through, but I would be probably out of my bottom 10 that I have put through, I would actually be most worried for this one, Poland.
Okay.
I think this could fall out of it just about. Vocally, Luna has been struggling. We've seen at the pre-parties. It is a very hard song to sing, in fairness to her, so I understand that. But I think the staging is vital for this, and the vocals will be as important too. So this is probably the one I'm most worried for, and personally could see fall out in the kind of last few slots for being the borderline qualifiers for me personally. So I put her in, but I'm flip-flopping every so often between a qualifier and non-qualifier personally. But I actually do really like the song. It has grown on me a lot, and I do stream it. It is a very chill, easy listen when it comes on the playlist. But I am worried for Poland, and I don't know if it is going to be enough just with having so many friends in the semi-final to push it through, ultimately.
Louise, do you echo that sentiment as also having it in 9th place?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Conor said. And like Conor will tell you, when this song first dropped, I was obsessing. Like, I loved the studio versions. And I still do, but actually seeing like coverage of it being pretty poor live, I was a little turned off. I'm just worried for how they could execute this live, to be quite honest. And like, not to break the fourth wall or anything, But I sent you this a couple of days ago, Harry, and I'm starting to kind of regret putting Poland there. Like, I'm nearly wondering, is it really more, would I predict it to be more 10th or 11th? But then, as Conor said, like with a few friendly votes probably coming Poland's way, that is always going to help. Oh, I really like the studio. I will admit, the song's not setting the world on fire. It's nothing brand new. It's a cute pop song. And Luna is such a wonderful person. Oh my goodness. But I'm worried about staging. Poland's very hit and miss with that. I'm just not convinced yet. And we didn't even, I suppose a difficulty is, I mentioned like Serbia earlier and having their national final performance to go off. Other than a few kind of grainy videos from pre-parties and that, like I don't feel I have a huge amount to go off with Poland. And it, as Conor said, it's a very hard song to sing. So I'm kind of worried for her.
And people are talking a lot about like, oh, Poland have a lot of friends, you know, the diaspora of Poland. But like Poland isn't like it always a safe qualifier. They're always very much in the later slots. Like, I know last year, obviously, Blanca finished third in the semi-final, but like, Blanca did polish up a lot and gave us a good performance, whether you like the song or not. It was actually all right, and it was in the weaker semi. Whereas previous years, obviously, the jury were in there too. So, I don't know. I wouldn't bank on it too much. People are very much like, Poland's safe because they've loads of friends. They'll be fine. I wouldn't be on that bus or train or plane.
See, if you're Lithuania who has loads of friends and you've a really good package, fine.
Fine.
But Poland doesn't.
No.
Well, speaking of people who think they are fairly safe because of friends, so no one told you life was gonna be this way. I'm one of them. Yeah, look, Poland always has a bit of a head start. There are certain countries with a televote-only system that have a head start. As far as I'm aware, they would have qualified every single year from 2019 onwards, apart from the ride, which... Yeah, fair enough. But which? I said which. I said which.
Poor pal.
Of all people to swear, Conor, come on.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, that's so unlike Harry.
I've got no personal feelings towards Rafael.
As well.
I know. That was mainly for the resemblance.
Why are you suddenly got a bitch?
That's more for the resemblance to Rafael rather than my feelings towards the song, to be fair.
What did he do to you, Harry?
He sent the ride to Eurovision, Conor. That's what he did. But no, yeah, it was a great costume. But with Luna in the tower, this is a decent performance. I think it's that calming sound that definitely works with like the mainstream people that just want something a bit more safer and neater. I do worry it's between Ukraine and Croatia in the running order. That might not help it, but I think it's still better that it's later in the first half than earlier. I kind of trust Luna's vision. I think she's quite a creative person. I can see this doing fairly well staging wise. And yeah, it's got a head start with Ireland will give it some points, UK will give it some points, Lithuania will give it some points. And you got to remember, depending on how the semi-final shapes out, Serbia qualified with like 36. If they've got those three countries as a head start, or 36, 37, they've got those three countries as a head start, and then you just get some other points from elsewhere. Ukraine might show this some love. I see this a world where this qualifies for the final. I can't remember if it's in my 10 specifically. It'll be low in my 10, but yeah, it's not going to win the semi or anything like that. But I see this in, and despite the skepticism from Conor and Louise, we actually all see this in the final for Eurovision in 2024. Now we come to our 8th most likely to qualify, and Louise is now contemplating who this 8th is from the ooh at the start of that. And our 8th most likely qualifier is Luxembourg.
I will never let you down. I know you're a fighter. Oh, you have to look around. You know you're a fighter. Et cette fois, il s'en va, il revient dans ma tête.
That was Tali with Fighter, Luxembourg's entry for Eurovision 2024, and our 8th most likely qualifier, who is closing the show as well. So, Conor, you actually have this where I had Poland. You have the 6th most likely to qualify. Louise, you've got this in 8th. And I am actually the odd one out here and has this in 11th in most likely to qualify from the final. So we will start, I think, with the positivity on this one. Connor, you have this, I would fairly safe in the well, okay, maybe not in your personal ranking, in the positivity in terms of because I just remembered your thoughts on Luxembourg. in terms of positivity in Luxembourg returning to the final, in making it 100% qualifying record in then returns to the contest.
Yeah, I think Lou, you said this earlier. This was a case of, you know, my personal ranking being very, very different to my overall, you know, prediction for this. Luxembourg have been giving a very lovely slot, you know, at the end of the show. The EBU are clearly being very nice to them to try and entice them to come back next year and the year after and year after.
Keep paying those participation fees, baby.
Luxembourg have money. We can clearly see it. I've been seeing Tally do interviews and like she's in an actual like proper studio for like interviews, which is so random, not like on Zoom. It's like a proper setup. So Luxembourg clearly throwing the money at this. So I see this qualifying. Personally, I would not have this in the final at all. I think this is very substandard entry. It's basic. At LEP, we saw it live, and I actually went to the bathroom because I was just
then you didn't see it live, Connor.
You went to the first like minute, and then I was like, in fairness, the audience were as dead, so I was like, come to the bathroom. You know? So yeah,
you're inviting people to the bathroom is what you're trying to say. Who's this weird Irish man inviting everyone to the bathroom?
It was actually a bar, but I didn't want to say that because, you know, encouraging alcohol and all that. But
that's
anyway,
probably a better statement than the bathroom.
But I think this will probably qualify. Just when I was seeing the rankings, like Lou, with your system, I just saw this higher than other people, unfortunately. But I wouldn't personally have it in the final. I would very much like it to stay in the semi. Yeah.
So, Lou, you have this in 8th. You have this qualifying for the final. Are you similar to Connor in the sense that this is going against your personal ranking, or are you a bit more positive on Luxembourg?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure where in my personal ranking it is, but if it is in my qualifiers, personally, it's like probably in a 10th spot. Like it's lower down, definitely in my personal ranking. I've put it in 8th because, for similar to a lot of reasons Connor has said, the you know, if I were a telly producer, you know, there's a narrative here, right? Luxembourg have come back. They've won it a good few times in the past. Microstate, everybody welcomes them. We want them back in the final, you know? So they've given them a lovely spot. Tally is a very competent performer. And there's always a little bit of an element of a welcome back vote, I think, whether we realize it or not. There's always a little bit of that influence. Commentators are going to be saying, oh, Luxembourg are back, you know, kind of bigging this up. This is Tally, she's whoever. Interestingly, Harry, I submitted this to you like at the start of the weekend or something like that. And later on in the weekend, I was on a ladies' choice panel talking about this semi-final, and this conversation started. So this conversation happened after I submitted my ranking to you. Yeah. But a conversation started around the idea of, you know, entries having competitors in the semi-final, right? So like Ireland doesn't have a huge competitor like coming up against it to overshadow it or to, you know, take its glory, for example. Ukraine probably doesn't either. Whereas you could group a lot of the gals together in this semi, like you could put Luxembourg, Cyprus, Poland, Portugal and Serbia. Okay, slower songs. But you could group them together and say they're not all going to make it. Realistically, they're just not. And you know, I don't want to get too in depth, but like we've talked about Poland and we've talked about Serbia, so we're fine there. Like I think Poland's got a slightly rougher deal in a sense than Luxembourg. It's on slightly earlier. It's sandwiched between very strong entries. Luxembourg has that really nice running order slot. I don't want to say too much about Cyprus yet, but that's Luxembourg's main competition. I do think Luxembourg is going to outshine Cyprus. So Luxembourg is kind of doing an element of something best in a really good running order slot. So the people who gravitate towards their pop girlies, they're probably more likely to back Luxembourg. So along with like a healthy welcome back vote and a good running order, I think Luxembourg are in.
What's ironic here is I probably like the song the most out of us three, and yet I'm the one that has this not in the qualifying spots. So first of all, I will defend Luxembourg being the show closer. I do not believe it is just because of the return vote. If you look at that second half, name me another good show closer that didn't close a semi-final last year, because you automatically rule out Australia and Finland for fairness. And then who you're left with? You're left with Iceland, Moldova, Azerbaijan, and Slovenia. I don't see how any of them are a better show closer than Luxembourg personally, just from the sense of a fun, upbeat song. In terms of Luxembourg, though, again, I like this. I prefer it before the revamp personally, because my main issue with Luxembourg this year has been it has tried to be something that it is not. Fighter is a song that is quirky, it is fun, it is lighthearted. I draw comparisons a little bit to Austria 2016. It's playful. They are trying to make this into a proper girl bop from the staging and even the remix. They're trying to make it cool and edgy. I'm like, it's not that though. It's not this cool, edgy girl bop. Cyprus is more like that in this semi-final. It's more easy on the ears. This is my problem. It's not a song that Tali wears a leather outfit and has nearly topless male dancers to. The staging doesn't connect with me, even though it can work with some. So I don't know if this fully connects, and I think the revamp loses a bit of its power, personally, in the pursuit of trying to make this cooler. And also, if you look at who else is voting in this semi-final, you've got Germany as a potential neighbour voter, but that's it. Maybe Portugal. It does not have many friends. You've got France and Belgium and Austria and all that, and Switzerland all in the other semi. So I don't know if this is guaranteed televotes. From that aspect. And also, one thing we've got to consider is this is Luxembourg's first time in a semi-final. They are the biggest, fattest question mark when it comes to how they do compared to other people in a televote. We have zero idea, because was televote even around when they took part last time, just in general in the final? So we've got no idea. They could end up being another Malta and San Marino, where they just do not get televote unless they are a really good country.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I get the argument of like, welcome back vote, and closing the show will help them out. And look, they're 11th. If they qualify, I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm completely wrong. I'm just like, I'm slightly wrong. We will see. Again, staging might impact it. I hope they elevate from Luxembourg from the national final, because it's in my personal 10 for the semi-final. But I just don't see an avenue. I do see an avenue. That's a complete lie. But I have 10 songs that I think are going to qualify over it. Personally, but overall I've been once again outvoted. Little less angry my guests are about this outvote, but that's fine. But Luxembourg is our 8th most likely to qualify from the semi-final. We now come to our 9th most likely qualifier. There are 2 spots left, 7 songs we are yet to have discussed in full. Our 9th most likely qualifier is Portugal.
Transformai cada verso de mim e entrega a coragem que ainda bate a luz no peito e abre.
That was Irlanda with Grito, Portugal's entry for Eurovision 2024, and our 9th most likely qualifier. So, me and Connor agree on this one. We have this in 8th place, and after 9 songs, Louise, it is finally your turn to be the negative Nancy and say that this is not going to qualify. You have this in 11th place.
Is this a cop-out by me? I don't mean it to be. But I mentioned earlier that I kind of regretted putting Poland where it was. Think Luxembourg. Sorry, we're not talking about Luxembourg. I think Portugal is the one I've been looking at the last week and being like, oh, maybe I've been wrong about you. You know? I'm really undecided. I think that's the issue here.
Yeah.
I've been flip-flopping with them. Portugal has a relatively good track record of late, if we're even just talking about qualifications. So we know they can do it with a variety of songs from a variety of spots. in all different semi-finals. So Portugal have proven that they're not a weak link and they're not to be underestimated. I definitely underestimated them a little bit last year. So I think that's kind of in my subconscious that
Yeah.
I shouldn't underestimate Portugal. I do just worry maybe a little bit that maybe the reason this kind of slipped into my 11th was that I kind of think it should qualify, and I think we need a song like this in the final because it's so different and it offers something that most other entries don't in this show. But I do worry about it connecting to viewers at home.
Yeah.
I think what can transcend that is if the performance is just immaculate and perform really well, which it definitely could be. Portugal's also another country who've proven they can really upgrade. They can really go up a level from Festival de Canção. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they do that. Side note, the artist is really gas on Twitter, and I have a lot of time for her.
They do seem lovely on interviews and stuff like that.
Yeah, big fan. So yeah, I'm flip-flopping, and I'm kind of actually happy that it's made it into our average qualifiers.
Yes.
So positive on the whole.
Positive. Now on to people that had it in from the start. Conor in 8th place. Well, I don't want to, because Louise is flip-flopping, but Conor in 8th place overall in your predictions.
Yeah, it goes back to what I was saying earlier with Serbia. I think we're only going to get one of two. I don't think we're going to get both Serbia and Portugal being the slower songs. And I went for Portugal because they just are in that later slot. We know, obviously, the later on in the show, the more of an advantage you have. And I think just comparing Portugal and Serbia, second spot kills Serbia off for me. So that's why I went with Portugal. But I think Portugal is certainly in trouble this year. I think they are going to be a borderline qualifier. So I would not be surprised if they are, like we have put it, in the later kind of, 8th, 9th, 10th spot. But yeah, I think we need, like Lou said there, we need a slower song like this or like Serbia in the final, because you don't want it too noisy or you don't want it too, just your standard ballad. These are very artistic performances, so it'd be a shame to lose both of them or one of them. I would love to see both of them in it, but I think it is going to be a battle between the two of them, Serbia, Portugal. But I went for Portugal just because they have that advantage with the later running order slot.
Well, if you want both of them in, I can help you out there. So I have Portugal in 8th. My main reasoning, and I'm being very biased here, is because they damn well need to be in that final. This is my semi-final one winner. This has to be in the final. I love this to pieces. One of my favorite Portuguese entries of all time. I don't think they need to elevate much of the staging here. I think it works. But I love the visuals and the mood that puts it in. Obviously, adapt for the stage in Malmo. But this is a fantastic song. That note at the end is a moment. That grito is fantastic. And yeah, I would, hand on heart, if because I got Louise's points in first and I saw it was 11th. If Conor, if you'd have put this out your non-qualifiers, I would have still probably segregated a point for Portugal, a section for Portugal. I was like, thank God you put this in so I can just talk about it normally. But yeah, for me, this has to. I am worried. Look, I've got this in 8th, so it's not a certain qualifier, but I'm happy with the running order spot in 14th. This should stand out there. And hand on heart, if this does not qualify, I am campaigning every single video for juries to come back to semi-finals, because this is pure jury bait and this deserves its spot in the final. And it will prove to me that Televote are useless if this does not make the final. I don't care what anyone says. There's like 3 songs this year where you can hate on them. Wait, and I will be like, absolutely not. Portugal is one of them. Do not share hate. Portugal fans in the comments, tell your friends internationally, this needs to be in the final. Please, I am begging you. But overall, we do have it in our 10, thankfully. I'm not the only one here, thankfully. And yes, 1 song left to go. So as I mentioned, 1 song left, 6 that we are yet to discuss. Before we get to that, let's go through some of the lower entries. So, as I mentioned, there are 2 countries that we all think are not qualifying for the final. Do you have any guesses which 2 countries they are?
Iceland and Moldova?
You are correct. Yep. No, it's Moldova and Iceland. We both have them. We all have them in 14th and 15th, respectively.
Oh.
Connor and I have Iceland in last. Louise, you have Moldova in last, but it's neither. It's you know, doesn't matter. Neither are qualifying. So, in 13th place, and we'll find out who did put this as a qualifier because it's not one that we all unanimously agree. 13th is Azerbaijan.
Oh.
So that leaves three
Tim.
countries left.
Oh, Tim.
It wouldn't be us.
The suspense for the Azerbaijan is killing me, Connor. It really is. Gotta love the build-up I tried to do for this section.
Sorry.
Of the show.
We're just so telepathic. It's ridiculous. Sorry, Harry.
That leaves
could
three
redo that.
countries. No, it's fine. It's more funny this way. That leaves three countries that we are yet to discuss that are between 10th and 12th. They are Australia, Cyprus, and Slovenia, otherwise known as Australia, and
I could
Slovenia.
potentially get quite
It's
pissed off here, yeah.
So, to let you know, for all of these songs and countries, two of us have them in the final, and one of them doesn't. And for each of these countries, it is a different person that has it as their non-qualifier. It's very close. There is pretty much nothing in it. Actually, 10th and 11th are decided by a tiebreaker. So they actually average the same score.
Wow.
Our 10th and final qualifier in our overall average ranking is Cyprus.
Take a look at yourself, 'cause that is what you need to do. 'Cause the only problem in this room is that you.
So that was Silia Kapsis, the opener of semi-final 1 and representing Cyprus in Eurovision, our 10th and final qualifier. So, out of us, Connor, you are the most confident in this. You have this 7th most likely in the final. I have this in 9th. And Louise, you're not ending on a good note here with these last two, I must say. You have this in 12th and out of the final. We'll start with the positivity, I think, first, and then we'll move over to Louise because she might kill someone with the other two later on. So I will start actually with this one. For me, it's a girl bop. So that gives it an automatic advantage in a televote-only system. I worry about Silia Kapsis's vocals. She is very young. It is a massive stage. We do not know them necessarily from pre-parties. So there is an element of the unknown there. There's always that element of unknown, I think, with Greece and Cyprus every year until we get to Eurovision. But it is opening the show, which can have its benefits. It can be like the case of, okay, you are clearly going to bring something decent staging-wise. So we'll see. I'm not 100% on this one by any means. This could easily not qualify, but I think it's fun. It's upbeat. It is a bit more televote fodder. If this was jury in the semi-final as well, I would maybe consider more being out. But it's fun, as I've mentioned many times now. But it's enjoyable. It's something that I can see kids enjoying this. If you're watching with your family, the kids will be wanting to vote for Cyprus, and yeah, I can imagine that while I question Celia's vocals, she can definitely dance. I'm not going to dispute that. So that will give her that advantage. Connor, you're even more confident than me in theory, based on the rankings. You have this in 7th place.
Yeah, I don't know why, to be honest. Because
Right,
I'm actually
right.
in agreement with what you said there. You know, we haven't seen a lot from her, so it's hard to judge it. But yeah, for what you said, you know, kids watching early on will probably like it. But obviously, will they be able to vote later on? Potentially not. So it's certainly a borderline qualifier. I've seen a few videos of her singing it. Some she's doing it really well, some she's not. So you know, there's still a big question mark for me if she can vocally perform the song well, because like you said, we know she can dance phenomenally. So I'm not worried about it in that sense. But yeah, I just see it potentially quietly getting in there. You know, it'll pick up a few points here and there and might squeak through. So that's why I've kind of gone with that 7th spot. Why do you keep saying spot?
You gotta love that spot. You
today.
gotta love it.
There we go. There we go. So
Gotta
yeah,
love
that's
the
why
spot.
I've gone with 7th, I think.
Now, Louise, this won't likely be in the final cut, but for those who were not aware, Louise, as I announced Cyprus, just went, oh. It's almost like a sense
I
of
was not
sadness.
No.
Mainly just selfishly because my semi-final winner has been knocked out of our average top 10, which is sad. But let's talk about Cyprus. Let's get into it. Cyprus are pretty bad at staging on the whole, I feel. I think they did a good job last year. They actually did a good job with Andrew Mache, but the issue there was the vocals.
2018, they were okay. You know, they were.
Yeah. Okay,
all right.
maybe they're checkered. They're checkered.
Yeah.
I concede they're checkered. I just think, right, there has to be a weak link in the first half of semi one. I do not fancy being followed directly by a Serbia, Lithuania, Ireland. Ollie Alexander is performing as well, don't forget, and we've got Rim Tim Tagi Dim and so on. That is a busy first half. And if you're going to be forgotten, I think you're going to be forgotten with that run of songs following you. I don't know. I fail to see sort of what audience this will pull in. I think the girly bop lovers are going to migrate more over to Luxembourg, kind of with what I was saying previously. They're a wild card, though. They are a wild card. I did think this was an interesting opener. Eurovision 2024 is opening with "Wake Up in the Morning Got Me Like Ooh La La."
Great lyric. Great lyric.
Interesting
Great
lyrics.
Everyone can feel like ooh la la. It's a great feeling.
Especially first thing in the morning.
I mean, look, in fairness, this probably is like slightly guided by some of my personal feelings, but I don't know, just in my gut, I don't see it. I just don't see it making it through. Cyprus have had a really good run at the pop girlies with, like you mentioned, Fuego there and Replay and El Diablo, and they did those really well. And I can't see this being up there with those entries, and like some of those obviously did much better than others, you know. I just don't see it not opening the show where they are and having all the rest of the noise to follow.
That's fair. I mean, we all have the logic of one of the, as we mentioned earlier, we all have the logic of one of the first half not qualifying. It's just a different member of the first half. Ironically, in our overall ranking, we've got all of the first half qualifying, but we've all cancelled each other out.
It's a strong half, isn't it?
It's a very strong half. It is a very strong half. So those were our 10 predicted qualifiers, and for those who are paying attention, Slovenia actually lost a tiebreaker over Cyprus and finished 11th. Australia finished in 12th. So we are going to now talk about the songs that we thought were going to qualify but didn't make our 10. Me and Louise both have 8 of our 10 predicted qualifiers in this average ranking. Connor, you have 9 of your predicted. It's because I was going to say you only have 1 out, but you have 9 in your prediction. So Connor, feel free to tell us who was the one song that you think is qualifying and that overall, on average, we are wrong.
Australia.
The Aussies.
Is my one. The Aussies, yeah. Personally, this is like top 3 for me in my personal ranking, so very much not how I feel it should go, but I think Australia will sneak in, hopefully, fingers crossed. I know ourselves, we recorded our own quickfire ratings last night, and I literally said the complete opposite by saying they're going to be out.
Great.
But it's hard. I think they're definitely going to struggle. I think. Are they going to struggle though? That's the thing. I don't know. I hope they make it through. I want them to make it through. But there's a sense in me that feels they might not. And this might be my disappointment of the year. But I don't know. I think they will. Just about. It's the way Lou did it. It's her system of like just ranking them. I just see them having a higher chance of qualifying over the ones below it. So that's how they've got my 10th spot. But personally, a top 3 for me.
Yeah.
Do I think they will? Personally, I could see them missing out. But just how I did it, they've ended up in that 10th spot.
So in your world, you've got 9. In your world, you've got 9 semi-final qualifiers. If you're saying they won't qualify, but they'll finish 10th in the semi-final, you can't reinvent.
There's 3 things. Personally, top 3 for me. Secondly, in the ranking I gave you, they're my 10th. So they make it through, but I do not think they will get through. I think they will miss out, if that makes sense.
So you
So
think
it's a
there's
three-part
six?
answer.
You think there's 6 songs that will not
Yeah.
qualify? Chronologic,
it.
everyone. Louise, we'll come on to you now when you're predicting. So, which 2 songs? And you can say these in any order you like. Which 2 songs do you have going through that are not in our personal ranking?
Well, I'll start with Australia because I'm thinking about it. Connor's just mentioned Australia. This song is amazing. I'm obsessed with it. It's also in my personal top 3. I'm starting to think it nearly could be my winner. I'm just streaming it that much. It's my teeth brushing song. So I'm streaming that baby 3 times a day. 3 times, I don't know. I love this song so much. I have this 7th in my prediction to
You do?
qualify. Like within my system,
Which
I
one
said,
of us could have completely ruined their chances? It could be anyone.
No, I put all kind of those girlies in that group I mentioned below Australia. I put Portugal, Slovenia, Poland, Luxembourg. I put them all below Australia. Australia has next to no competition in this semi-final. Also, Electric Fields are just such competent, such charismatic performers, you know. Says and Whatever was a song I liked in the run up to Australia Decides back in 2019 when they competed. And I liked it, but when they performed it live on the stage, they brought that song
Absolutely.
to life. And I just see them doing that in Malmö. I know the music video left a lot to be desired, but like, look, save those coins, like put it into the staging. I get it. I would probably do the same if I was on a relatively low budget from a broadcaster, you know. I just think the final would be so much poorer without Australia in it. You know, when else can we say we've had a didgeridoo in Eurovision and had an indigenous language from Australia in Eurovision? I just think it's actually important to have this in the final, and it's a banger. I think if they do this right, this will have the Gustav effect from last year.
Interesting.
People can call me delusional, but I'm standing by it. I see this really getting people feeling funky on the dance floor, and I love this one.
Can't believe Delulu was right there and you did not go for it. And then Slovenia is your other predicted qualifier from this?
Yeah, I kind of regret that. I think I would have swapped
Right.
Slovenia and Portugal. But at the time when I did it, again, flip-flopping. It's one of those I'm flip-flopping on, like the mermaid tail. I don't like this song. I'm not going to lie. That's just on a personal note. But I think I can see a path for this getting through if they get across the mystical elements really well. I just see a pathway for them to do it. And Slovenia have been stepping up their game, in fairness to them. So I can see a path where this makes it in, but it will only just make it in if it does. Like
That's
9th or 10th.
Yeah, you had this in 10th in your ranking here. I mean, for me personally, I'll touch on Australia because I'm the one that's the party pooper here. I actually
And
have
you're
this
also Australian DNA.
I
in
am
you,
also
which is
part
even more.
Australian, yeah, so I should have this in my ranking. I have this 13th actually in likeliness to qualify. Australia is one of those countries for me where they have to send something amazing to do well with the televote. And this might get lost, sadly. They don't always have the best record with televote, sadly. And the song isn't strong enough for me. I like it. I think it's in my personal 10 of this semi-final, but it scrapes in. But yeah, it's just I don't know if the Eurovision fans would vote for this. I'd fully appreciate and expect Electric Fields will bring the performance. And Louise eager to say something. Go on.
Australia did win their semi-final last year, televote only.
Their song was stronger though last year.
Yeah, fair, but I do think it's more Eurovision fans watching the semi-finals.
Yeah, look, I did factor that in, but you've also got them in the likes of 2017, which wouldn't have qualified. You've had 2021.
Yeah, true. Very true.
I don't know. Would 2018 have qualified? I know it came last in the televote in the final.
I think just.
And you say that as well. Eurovision fans have this 12th overall in a ranking of like the Eurovision scoreboard, which is a good. You know, if you're going by Eurovision fans,
that app, God.
So it's like 12th, and then the odds as well is like 13th. So
They're not
Doesn't
in.
really-
They're not in Australia's favour. But
Yeah.
we will see. I'm not writing this out completely. This could absolutely qualify, but I think it's it's only really the bottom two that I see definitely out. But that's fair. And then with Slovenia, we'll come on to this. First of all, Connor, you mentioned that you're sending a witch, you're definitely qualifying, and then have the balls to say Slovenia's not qualifying after sending a witchy song.
They're mermaids.
The
They're
irony
mermaids.
there. She's speaking like
Wrong
a true
creature.
Irishman. But I actually have this 7th in most likely to qualify. It's probably not 7th in my personal ranking, but this for me, out of every song in Eurovision 2024, has the biggest range of positions that this could finish in Eurovision. It's really hard to tell how this will get on just from pre-parties. We know Raven can sing, but you're not going to get the visual impact from pre-parties. But we know surely Raven's bringing something. We just don't know what. It also is in the second half, where it should stand out a little bit more. It's coming after Iceland and Germany as well in the running order, which I don't think are necessarily the most popular songs performing in that semi-final. Yeah, I just have trust in Slovenia for some reason and more Raven. I have trust in Raven to bring her creativity to the stage in Malmo and qualify that way. And then my other qualifier, as to the shock of everyone who heard the tension bit at the beginning of this section, it is actually Azerbaijan. And I'll tell you why. Because Azerbaijan, I think when Azerbaijan switched to this more Azerbaijani ethnic style in terms of songwriters, this is what people wanted them to send. In terms of the ethnic feel and Azerbaijani lyrics. And also, look at the people voting in this semi-final. It's very Eastern. You've got Moldova. You've got Portugal will like this. I think Luxembourg might like this if they have the diaspora. But you've also got Slovenia. You've got Moldova. You've got Ukraine. You've got Croatia. You've got Serbia. You've got Lithuania. All these Eastern countries will look at this Eastern ethnic sound, and I see this scraping in. It's not the most televote friendly song from a style perspective. I completely appreciate that, but I looked at it. I was like, yeah, this creeps in. I think this is my bold prediction for this year, because I don't think a lot of people got Azerbaijan as a qualifier. But using my logic and where the points are coming from, this is where I see them come from. You two heavily disagree. You both have this 13th in your ranking.
It's an interesting point you make about the Eastern countries, though. I don't think I considered that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's completely fair. But yeah, I'd imagine it's for you, maybe song-wise in particular, this doesn't... The fact you looked at each other and went, oh, it's definitely Harry. Neither of you are a massive fan of this one?
No,
as a personal note?
Doesn't do anything for me. I just have it as a non-qualifier because I'm just thinking of 2022. That got 0 points, and I thought that was an actual stronger song than this is, and that got 0. So I'd be worried for this just going forward. But it, like Lou said, you raised a very fair point of having a lot more Eastern countries voting in the semi-final. So I take that on board. So it could squeak in, but for me personally, I don't think it should or will.
How dare it should not. the crime here. Louise, do you echo similar sentiment?
Boring.
Oh,
and that concludes our final. That's our final note on the semi-final one songs.
wow.
That ain't gonna get clipped if Azerbaijan qualifies, is it? But that is our overall opinions on the semi-final one. Our 10 qualifiers from most likely to least likely are Ukraine, Croatia, Lithuania, Finland, Serbia, Ireland, Poland, Luxembourg, Portugal, and finally Cyprus. So that will do it for another episode of the EUROVOXX podcast. Coming up next time, as you can imagine, we will be doing the same thing over again, but for semi-final 2. Conor and Louise, you are two of my favorite guests to have on this show. You really do not need any introduction. Your podcast has gone from strength to strength, but where can people find you if they would like to listen to you more?
Where can they not find us is the question.
Anywhere other than Ireland.
Everywhere.
No, I'm kidding.
We've covered every corner of the internet. We're probably busiest at the moment on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah,
Twitter,
that's Twitter. Yeah, Twitter as well.
Yeah.
Look up Eurovision podcast and you will find us.
You will find it. And yeah, as I said, they have gone from strength to strength this year. They are doing ridiculously well. I'm very thankful to have them on.
As of you.
I am very thankful for that. I've not paid them to say that. I mean that. I'm not. You're gonna pick that now, but make sure to follow us on Vox on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave this video, if you're watching the YouTube version, a like. Make sure the news website is your home for all Eurovision news. And of course, in my very biased opinion, Connor trying to get the thumbs up working on the animation. And of course, in my very biased opinion, make sure to go over to Spotify, listen to the audio version if you want, as well as the YouTube, and leave us a review and a rating. It really helps expand the podcast over there. All that's left for me to say is hope you guys enjoy this episode, and we will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.
Slongafo.
Bye.